now we're at the round robin section. Folks, because of our time and then how many people are on the Zoom, what I've came up with was let's answer one of these three questions. Does everybody know? Has everybody seen the three questions?
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go through if someone wants to answer the first question, which was Mr. Przbilowicz, you can answer this one too if you want. Who was your favorite teacher and why? Well, actually, Mr. Przbilowicz, what is Kathleen's name that you married? Maybe she was your favorite teacher. So guys, and we can, instead of doing the round robin, we can just, people can raise their hands if they want to answer that question. Why don't we do it that way? So first question. Who was your favorite teacher and why? Just show me a hand and then we can call you. Barbara, what do you got?
I look at Mr. Castingway. He was a social studies teacher. For us, he taught psychology. He was so enthusiastic all the time, every day. He made it fun.
And we don't know if he's around yet. We haven't seen,
Yeah,
I haven't
I
seen
know.
anything.
I went on to major in psych and followed it up.
Yeah,
So,
that influenced your life.
If I may interrupt, Mr. Castingway is still around. I believe he's living in East Long Meadow now. I tried to reach him. I found him on Facebook, but I sent him a message. I haven't heard from him yet, but I'm hoping he will respond.
Fantastic.
around.
Thank you.
I
Thank you,
did
John.
find John Logan, so.
And tell them by popular demand, we're looking for him.
Popular
Okay, I'll
demand.
try again, I promise.
That'd be good. All right, anybody else want to mention a teacher, favorite teacher? Linda Isernio, iPad, how are you?
Yeah, I couldn't get that together. I tried to fix it. I couldn't fix it.
Tell us
But-
where you are, Linda.
I am in Centerville, Mass, Cape Cod. I have to say, my two favorite teachers were John and Kathleen, ironically. And I
Thank
know John and I have spoken through email. I sent him an email, but yeah, I have to say, John he made French fun when it wasn't. But yeah, he was very kind, and he put humor in his classroom, and Kathleen has taught me everything about stenography, which I used right after high school, and business, and I have very fond memories of them both.
Well, that's fantastic. That's a great testimonial. And Dave Jasek,
Very
thank
kind
you for
of you.
resurrecting
Thank you.
John Przbilowicz, because we accidentally had him down as having passed away. So when I called him, I said, hey, this is really good. John, thank you. Who else? Favorite teacher? Anybody else? I think I see Brad. Brad, you got to put it in the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Not over the screen.
I want to say Mr. Openasato, Mr. O, because that's where I met Debbie and Dave Jasek.
In what class?
Yep,
Geometry.
geometry, and I had him for algebra too. But he was a teacher that on geometry just did a great job building the blocks in geometry, and at the same time he took a real interest in my life and my future and where I was going after Minnechaug. So he became a friend, really.
Yep. Okay. Folks, just so you know, let me put in a commercial for this. We're inviting all the teachers we can find. They're certainly welcome. They and any of their significant others or spouses are invited to our session on October. So just be aware, and if anybody asks you, just tell them they're invited. Okay? Not all of the classes have seen fit to do that, but we're certainly open to that. Anybody else on a teacher? And then we'll move on, if not, to the second question. Susan Ferrier. Hi, Susan.
Hi. Well, two of my favorite teachers I know have passed away, and that's Mr. Eakins and Dr. Brown. Mr. Eakins I had for physics, and he just had such a unique way of looking at physics and life, and I found it really fun. And Dr. Brown, we kind of had a love-hate relationship. He really knew how to push my buttons and really inspire me to do my best.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, all the teachers had many teachers had significant impacts on our lives, and that's why we want to recognize them when they get to our October reunion. Who was the other? Nancy, you wanted to say something about a
Yep,
teacher.
I wanted to give kudos to Mr. Varani and the business department because it was that foundation that I got there at Minnechaug and a few college courses that was able to I was able to run our business for 30 years, and it was very successful. So I'm just thankful for the foundation I got there at Minnechaug. But I used to like Mr. Varani because he used to, whenever we took a test, he would hop on the radiators there, you know, by the window, there was radiators there, and he'd be marching on there and surveying the troops. You know what I mean? It was just, he made it fun. So kudos to all the business teachers, but Mr. Varani was special.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else on teachers?
I got one for you, Ricardo.
What do you got?
Andy Whalen and our advisor, Jack Logan. Just very good guys, and they always did very well by me.
Dave, you know, I think Mr. Logan is still available, right? Mr. Przybylowicz?
Yeah,
He's around. He's still in Wilbraham.
yeah,
we
I
need
spoke to him.
Good, Barbara. We need to get him on the Zoom.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know if you have his number. I got his number, and he's still in Wilbraham. I talked to him. He seemed interested. I don't know if he's a Zoom guy though.
Make him
All
one.
right. Good. Teacher, Terry. Hi, Terry. Terry, you need to unzoom. You need to unmute yourself on the screen.
Mr. Worthley, he was math, and I think wasn't he a swimming coach too? I don't know. Anyway,
Well, yeah, he was for a while. Yes, he was.
yeah, I think so. But anyway, that he was one of my favorite, and I think I had a little bit of a crush on him too.
I think a lot of people did.
Not all of us had a crush on him.
Well, you probably were in swim team with him, right? You know those little suits?
Those little suits, they used to be little.
Hey, guys, by the way, this morning I had contact, just coincidentally, with Chris Ziegler and Russ Jones. And they
Wow.
both happen to be in Colorado, and I'm going to put them together for a mini reunion this weekend. Okay? And they were both getting to me and saying, hey, Ricardo, sorry we can't make it tonight. So that's some of the situations that are coming up with these mini reunions. The other commercial I want to put in there is that I never expected to meet children or offspring of some of you. And I met Pam Carew's son over here at the Consumer Electronics Show. And I had the pleasure of meeting Elwin Robeson and his son, who's in the military here in Las Vegas. So
My
that's
son was there too, Ricardo.
Who else?
My son was there as well.
Who's that?
Consumer Electronics Show.
Really?
Can't tell who was speaking.
Andy.
Who?
Andy.
Andy right there.
Oh, Candy. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry I missed him.
Hey, we
Next
got
time he comes here,
grandkids, too.
please tell him to look me up. All right. Another teacher. Lisa, hi. You need to unmute yourself.
So my favorite teacher was Gloria Laflamme, Madame Laflamme, because she was incredibly energetic and demanding in a very kind way. She offered a 5th year of French to a small group of us and didn't allow us to speak a word of English, or she would charge us money. Although, Terry, I don't ever remember her collecting money, did she? She threatened us with it. But at the end of the year, she treated us as adults, really. It was the first time that, you know, instead of being a high school student, I felt like I was soon to be a college student. And she asked us to describe our philosophy of life in French. That was the end of the year with Madame Laflamme. And I remember sitting with her and telling her my philosophy of life en français. And I used my French when my husband and I had the pleasure of traveling to Paris 2 years ago. And boy, it all came back. It was great.
Great. Merci beaucoup, mademoiselle. Patty or Jill? No, Jill, please.
What? I didn't have
Your
my.
favorite teacher?
I
I'm sorry.
had a lot of good teachers.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Patty, what do you got? Teacher.
I would agree with you, Jill. We were so lucky to be raised and have the opportunity to be in such a great school system, and there's countless wonderful teachers. I didn't actually have you, John, as French teacher. I had Mrs. Laflamme, who I enjoyed, and she was certainly kinetic. But my favorite teacher, I would have to say that I had personally would be, I'm not sure if any of you remember her, is Mrs. Ryder.
I had her.
Mrs. Ryder, yeah.
She was the first woman that I met that I saw kind of as a contemporary. She was young, she was very intelligent. She made reading and understanding literature so exciting. I've been a reader ever since. And she just was a strong, intelligent woman.
She was also very tall, and I know you looked up to her, right?
Hey, yeah, who don't I look up to, right? But yeah, I mean, she was just so confident, and she was a great role model. I personally have so many amazing memories of Jerry Badger.
Yes.
And just through many venues. I mean, he was involved obviously at Minnechaug, but he also was involved in Palmer Day Camp, where I was a counselor for many years. And I actually had to save Jerry Badger in senior life saving. Now that's just not fair, right? Including getting him out of the pool. But he was just such a gentleman and so kind and warm and genuine and smart. He was just an amazing human being. But
Patty,
there aren't very many teachers at Minnechaug that we couldn't say that about.
Patty, take a look at Badger's biography, and that will even give you more information. It was really, really good. He was one of my favorites. I had him for advanced biology freshman year. So, Tom, were you waving your hand to say hello to our teacher?
Sure. First I'll say I'm French Canadian. My last name is we met, but it took me 4 years to get through 2 years of French. It was not a strong one. But my favorite high school teacher was Mrs. Levesque, and I described this in the my little class clip. But she was so supportive in the class, and I worked in the afternoons. I think I had a little crush on her too. But she gave me great recommendations later, and was really very supportive when I was trying to get into grad school and whatnot. So just really a wonderful person and such a supportive person.
Great. Thank you, folks. You know what? We're done with that question. Would you like to go on to the 18-year-old question, or should we cut it off? What's your pleasure? I know some people, it's past my bedtime, etc. What would you like?
I don't work on Fridays anymore. So as my husband says, this is my first Friday of the week. Tomorrow's my second Friday.
Dan gave us the question of what would you say to your 18-year-old self? Now, I think that's a fascinating question, and I'd love to hear any of you folks give a reply to that. Does anybody else have a great reply to that?
Yeah, don't get caught with for sale signs in your car with Tom will.
For sale signs, what about street signs, Jill?
Yeah, we were stealing for sale signs on that one. Street signs, that's another story.
Hey, there's no statute of limitations on that, Jill. Be careful to tell too many people.
Ned Baker said the file was still there.
Oh, boy.
He's gone now, so.
Who else would like to answer the question? What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Mine's short and sweet. Short and sweet. I would say go to college. I didn't go to college. I would have said go to college.
Okay. Who else? Anyone else on the 18-year-old self?
I would say pursue the academics in college that you want to pursue. I was essentially told that you should be a teacher or a nurse, and I really wanted to do architecture and design.
Thank you, Patty. How about Dan? You said you came up with that question. So what do you got?
First of all, I want to say I'm fine. Don't worry about that. But I would tell my 18-year-old self, who no one 18 thinks about the day when you don't go to work at some point. And I'd say no matter how lean the years are, have a fund that just goes when you don't tap into not even your rainy day fund until you're retired, and just start building it when you're 18, no matter how lean those college years are.
Yeah.
And speaking of the college, Patty, I'd also say my mother told me to go into journalism and not art. And I went into art, and that was the worst mistake I ever, on a human level. Divinely, it worked out just fine. But I'm a better writer than I am artist, so I should have done that.
Yeah, Dan. Okay, so somehow you became a retired chaplain in the Air Force. So I don't know what circuitous route you took, but you're going to be one of the profiled people. Let me interject right here. Can I have a show of hands? Who else wants to be profiled with WeMet's help, please?
Yeah.
Who else would like to have a profile?
Yeah.
I'm going to take a picture in a moment.
A minute clip.
Yeah, a minute to 3 minute clip.
Okay,
Can I have a
Pat,
show of hands right
Patty.
now, folks, so I can take a
Stubborn Beauty Brewery is in your town. It's one of my favorites. I'll meet you there.
What's that town?
Stubborn Duty.
Stubborn Beauty. It's over by the recycling center. It's an old mill. It's a great brewery.
So I actually have a list here. I'm going to plan a mini reunion of all of us who are close enough to the Connecticut line and here in Connecticut. Tom, let's pick a place.
I know every brewery in Connecticut.
Well, the brewery that we go to needs to serve vodka because I don't drink beer.
Most
guys,
serve all the kinds of wine there are. The white one, the red one, and sometimes that off-colored red one. I think they call it rosé. Is that okay?
Got it. Thanks, guys. Who else wants to tell us about 18 years old? Phyllis, did I see your hand?
You did. So I would say be kind, find a passion, and do all that you can with what you have while you're here. And Dan, I couldn't agree with you more. Put money aside, invest for the future. I don't care what age you are, do it.
No one thinks about it at 18, trust me.
Exactly. You get a raise, take half of that and put it away. Just do it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Folks, anybody else at 18? Okay. Eileen, hello. We haven't heard from you tonight.
No, I'm just as quiet now as I was in high school.
Yes. How far is Northbridge from Wilbraham?
An hour.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an hour away.
Traveling in what direction?
Towards Worcester.
Okay.
Towards Boston. An hour towards Boston.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So
jump on
what would
90.
you tell your 18-year-old self?
What would I tell? I would tell myself to read Philippians 4:13 and to know that life is going to have a lot of struggles. And I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. And here I am forgetting it. So life has a lot of struggles, but you will survive no matter what life throws at you because you always have God. That's what I would tell myself, my 18-year-old self, to go out and seek him.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much for those solemn moments. Anybody else on 18 years old? Okay, the other question we had on here, folks, the other question was fondest memory of Minnechaug and why?
There's
That was
so
the
many.
last question.
That's a hard
Anybody in that? Your fondest memory, that's all.
Graduating.
There you go.
Good answer. Ricardo, I haven't heard you answer one yet.
Yeah, you know, it takes up so much energy to come up with these questions that I couldn't answer it.
Some of my fondest memories would be like after basketball games, going to friendlies. Everybody at friendlies, and then pizza pub, right? Pizza pub, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those were really fun things. Those were fun things because everybody was there, and it was just very fun.
The original friend. That was
the
fun.
original friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to just talk a little bit about my fondest memories were really wrapped around the whole swim team Minnechaug. I mean, I spent a lot of time in the pool there. I was very lucky. I arrived in my freshman year. We had a team that basically won Western Massachusetts, the state, and the New England championship, which was very, unique. And I was really honored to be part of that group. I know I got to swim with Phyllis's brother Dennis and some great seniors. One of my earliest memories as a freshman there, in terms of the support I got from the rest of the team. I remember a guy named Gary Markham would pick me up. He'd come to my house every morning, driving his Volkswagen Bug to take me to swim practice because I was like 15 years old, and honestly, for the balance of my time in the pool with the swim team, it was just unbelievable in terms of the competition and the friends that I made. It was a very neat part of my life. I'll never forget.
John, thank you very much for those comments. You need to really get together with Russ and with Chris and Pete Gillis, right?
Yep. I was, I don't know how many of you know Toby Roach, but I was with Toby in the Florida Keys just a few weeks ago. He's one of the few people that is still around that, I do hang out with and stuff. But I agree, need to, find Pete Gillis, Chris, Rusty, a number of people.
John, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ian or Hoftig is good friends with Toby also. You know that?
No.
Yeah, check that out. I think if my memory serves me well, I mean, I'm trying to keep all of this recorded in my mind over these months as I run through the time machine of Minnechaug. But yeah, we're going to have to check that.
Toby was married to Mickey Ash.
Right. I was his best man, not just in Massachusetts, but also in LA a couple marriages later.
Okay. All right. And then you know what, guys? Somebody asked me about my fondest. I played football for 7 years. We did it even before high school. And I've learned a lot of the life lessons being co-captain in there with Vartanian and a few of the other players. So besides my academics achievements, my football achievements and snow ski team achievements were very valuable and gave me a lot of fond memories. So I had a great experience in high school. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I do recognize that not everybody, and you guys should know too, not everybody had great experiences. And as you go off and try to be detectives and try to find people, we need to be sensitive about the fact that some people don't want to remember. But I'm glad everybody's here and you guys are sharing some of your best memories. So thank you for that. Anybody else on this question before we wrap it up?
Can I just add to what John was saying? John, girls swimming and boys swimming was different seasons. It was different. It's co-ed now. It's been co-ed for years, a winter sport. But so many fun memories for myself from high school. But one of the best was our senior year, and Susie Coburn and I were the managers of the boys swim team. Now that was a lot of fun, especially those bus rides to away meets. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of fun.
As long as they didn't let you in the locker room, I think that's okay.
I never went in voluntarily. That's all I'm going to say.
Guys, you know what? John and Phyllis, when you go on the tour at Minnechaug, they will tell you that Minnechaug, from those years where we were there, John, you and the other guys and the ladies.
The photograph is there.
Yeah, and they got banners in the gymnasium of all the different years that Minnechaug has been one of the top swim teams of all of Massachusetts and New England. And in fact, it is the #1 sport these days for Minnechaug. Okay, so don't be surprised when you see that on Saturday morning.
In 4 years.
Pardon?
We won the girls team, every swim meet except one.
Okay. Well, and they consider, and Jill, they continued that tradition later on. You'll see. Anybody else before we go disco dancing tonight? Guys, thank you very, very much. I think we're really done.
Great.
Okay, it was great. Please get some other people discovered, and please get some more people on the Zoom. It was certainly a pleasure seeing each and every one of you tonight. And thank you very,
Thank
very
you,
much for
Mario.
your efforts on
That's
making this
great.
whole
Very
reunion
Everybody.
Great job. Nice
celebration.
seeing everybody.
y'all.
Good night,
Bye,
everyone.
y'all.
Stay
Good
well.
night. Take care.